I think if I think about when, and I'm probably jumping ahead here, but if I think about when I was running the cut versus now in my position with DAPS, well, that allows me to focus much more on the things I'm best at. Whereas when you're a business owner, you're being pulled in all of the directions all of the time. And so I felt like I was in this constant, this perpetual failure loop, because you're trying to get them done, you don't enjoy them, you're not good at them, and you feel like, there's this underlying level of failing all the time in that area. So, that's a very difficult one to achieve if you do own the business. But I guess that's what people talk about when they say, what does your business need to operate really smoothly, where you as the owner don't have to be doing and touching everything?
Hello and welcome to the Real Biz Life Chronicles, where we discuss all things business, branding and life from the Horizon Digital podcast recording studio here in Perth. I'm your host Tracy Fryer, the founder of Design Studio Perth, and because Design Studio Perth is dedicated to helping business owners grow with distinction through captivating branding and design, we're offering all our listeners a free brand discovery. So if you find yourself frustrated with your current branding and marketing and aren't too sure where to next, use a link in the show notes below to book in a time to have a chat. Now, I don't know about you, but I find the best conversations are had over a great cup of coffee. And so the coffee for each episode of the Real Biz Life Chronicles is brewed for us by no other than the legends at Cuppa Cartel. They're fueling great conversations, one cuppa at a time. Now, the Real Biz Life Chronicles is on a mission to become one of Australia's leading business podcasts, but in order to do that, we please need your help. If you do enjoy today's episode, we please ask that you like and subscribe to our channels below, or simply share this episode with a fellow business owner who is doing one of the hardest things in the world, building a business. Now, if there is a question you'd like us to ask our guests, please feel free to pop it in the comments section below, or simply send us an email at info@therealbizlifechronicles.com. My guest today walked away from a stable corporate gig with no backup plan, just the belief that honest communication and hard work still matter. He had climbed the ladder, big titles, big brands, big expectations, but after 2 decades in commercial comms, he knew that something was missing. Connection, clarity, and work that actually meant something. So he co-founded The Cut, a Shopify Plus agency helping e-commerce brands not just sell, but stand out. For 15 years, he built the business with one goal: results rooted in relevance. Now, as a brand and growth lead at Depth, he helps organizations align digital strategy with real-world impact, bringing together brand, data, and people with purpose. A proven strategist with deep experience across brand, digital, and stakeholder engagement. From Perth to Canberra to the UK, he's also the guy who listens when it's heavy, lightens it with a story, and makes people feel safe just by being there. He's deeply mindful of what people might be going through and always tries to show up in the best way possible. Generous, thoughtful, funny. In short, he cares and it shows. His wife says that Summer of 69 captures his spirit, fun, laid back, and craving simplicity, but it's better be home soon that defines his soul, family first, always. This episode is about rewriting the script in business, in leadership, and in how we connect. Ben de Jonge, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Did my wife really say those things?
Yes, she did. I have proof.
Wow. Well, I'll take the Crowded House reference. I'll take the Bryan Adams with a little pinch of salt, but that's lovely words. Thank you.
Definitely. Ben, what can our listeners expect to learn from our conversation today?
I don't have any pre-planned answer to that, but maybe what I've been through in advertising agency and running my own business for 15 years and starting side hustles and then transitioning out of that, I've probably learnt some lessons that maybe other people would find interesting at least and valuable, hopefully.
So walk us through, you walked away from a corporate career most people would kill for. What was the real moment when you knew you wanted something different?
It's a really interesting question. Look, I worked in advertising agencies, big and small. Like some were definitely corporate. I wouldn't say I'm a corporate career type of guy. I worked with the Clemenger Network and Grey Worldwide, and then in the UK with sort of smaller boutique agencies. But it was when we came back from the UK and my wife was pregnant with Olivia, our daughter. I didn't really want to be an employee again. And I was introduced to Scott Sanders by a mutual friend, and he was starting his own thing, and I wanted to start my own thing. I didn't want to do it by myself. I was interested in doing it in a partnership. So yeah, that was the catalyst. We met, like, literally, we came back to Perth from England, both of us, within 3 weeks of each other.
Oh, wow.
Met within 3 weeks of that, and then we started talking, and we talked and discussed what the cut could be for about 6 months before launching it.
And for our new business owners, what did the first 6 months of owning your business look like?
Well, if we think about the first 6 months of, like, getting to know you or courting each other, if you want to put romantic language around it, I apologise, Scotty, if you do listen to even the beginning of this. But all seriousness aside, we did actually refer to our partnership as being very much like a marriage, which I'm sure a lot of people would relate to. So the first 6 months of talking was like getting to know each other and what we were good at, and if we felt like there was a fit. I think it was definitely a case of opposites attracting, very different personality types and skill sets. The first 6 months of owning a business and opening the doors of the cut and starting to do business, I mean, that was a long time ago. I kind of had a bit of a gradual transition because I was still working it as a consultant a little bit with Austereo and starting the cut, and that probably went on for 6 or so months.
Okay.
So then we transitioned. I mean, yeah, look, it was exciting, and we kind of grew slowly but steadily. And look, I have fond memories of 95% of the whole journey. I don't remember, like, in the early days sort of being particularly scared or worried or intimidated. It felt like a good thing to be doing. And like I say, part of that was because I was in partnership with someone, and there was someone to bounce ideas off and lean on and get support from and make it happen together rather than feeling like I was on my own.
And what 3 things did you learn on that journey that you shared every opportunity?
That's a really good question. One of them would be, if you possibly can, avoid side hustles. We didn't avoid side hustles. One of those side hustles was really successful and really great for us as a family, but it nearly, and as business people, Scott and I, but it nearly put the cut out of business. It nearly killed the cut.
Right, so sorry, you ran alongside the cut?
Yeah, so we started a brand or a company called New Homes Guide. It was like a web listing platform for the new home sector. We ended up going into a JV with that with the West Australian and other partners, and it was super exciting and really quite successful for quite some time. But that initial input into that and taking the focus away from the cut nearly destroyed the cut.
Yeah.
For several months, probably a year to rebuild after that. And we went down another path with another side hustle that was just a complete waste of time. And then we were offered a chance to, like, get a part ownership in a collaborative project that we're already working on with a client. And I sort of said we shouldn't do that. We should focus on this. So that's definitely one of them. People have told me in Perth that you can't afford to niche. My tendency is still to say, if you can find a niche, it's more powerful to niche.
Yeah.
Even if that niche is more a marketing conversation or a brand conversation than it is in terms of the reality of the services you deliver, if that makes sense. But be known for one single specialisation, even if beneath that you're doing some other things.
Yeah.
I think there is still power in niching. Of course, it depends on a sector. I had a guy in ad agency land saying, Perth's too small of a market, you can't niche. You've got to be a generalist. There's an element of truth to that as well.
Yeah.
3 things. Don't know. Third might be balance.
Try
and maintain some balance, because cognitive load or overload or burnout or whatever is extremely easy to achieve. And if that happens, then you can quickly be looking at a scenario where you don't have anything, and your wife or partner and children or whatever, your friends and the family and the people around you may be looking at a really scary scenario.
Yeah.
I went through some experiences like that along the journey, had anxiety episodes and sort of burnout and exhaustion and things like that. And so I think, for me, balance. I've always been reasonably good at it. I've certainly never been a workaholic. But you know, when you're running a business, I was saying to someone this morning over coffee, for a long time I was getting up at 4 a.m. and 4:30 in the morning to put in 2 hours of work before you walk the dog at 6:30 and stuff like that. So balance is something where you might not be able to achieve it every day, but you've got to look after yourself, or there is nothing else, right?
So what does balance look like for you?
Now, or in general?
In general, yeah.
I think like focusing when you're working, focusing on the areas that you're best at and enjoy the most, and hopefully they might be one and the same thing. They usually are, I think. Physical exercise. Definitely is, I mean, there's a lot of conversation in wherever you get your media and information from these days that the most powerful antidepressant is exercise. I certainly feel and believe in that. I've always been reasonably fit and healthy, but, you know, not always, like anyone, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not obsessive about fitness either, but you know, again, balanced. I mean, food and drink. Yeah, I drink alcohol and I have one small Coca-Cola or two a week, but again, balance, right? So I drink a lot of water. So like, you know, the usual things, trying to keep a lid on work and keeping it productive and beneficial and enjoyable for you, and obviously as effective as you possibly can for your employer or your business partner or your clients. Exercising and looking after yourself for the most part with diet and just enjoying yourself, you know, going out and having a laugh with friends and the good things that allow you to let off steam and act as a release valve, I suppose.
I'm really glad you mentioned the focus thing, because the last year I've been learning the power of focus, and I find a lot of business owners, we seem to take, maybe I want to say it feeds our ego when we've got like 5 different businesses happening. And I say this as I have a podcast and a jewelry line, but never mind.
You've got side hustles.
The podcast works with my branding agency, but I find, the jewelry is only a very small percentage of my life because my main focus is Design Studio Perth and the podcast.
Yep.
Did you want to speak to us more through what focus, you know, what the impact focus had for you?
I don't know that I have any real, I guess, techniques around it. I think if I think about when, and I'm probably jumping ahead here, but if I think about when I was running the cart versus now in my position with DAPS, well, that allows me to focus much more on the things I'm best at. Whereas when you're a business owner, you're being pulled in all of the directions all of the time. And you've probably got to do some sort of billable hours. You'll definitely be managing some people. You probably have to deal with financials and tax and superannuation.
All of the above.
You probably have to deal with rental and tenancy agreements and business development and partnerships and your suppliers and marketing. And so there's a lot going on. And, you know, no one person, I don't think, can be good at that whole 360. And what I found, you know, throughout to a point, but in the end, I found that the things that I wasn't the best at, which is anything mathematical, right? So finances and figures and targets and measurement and metrics and all those things were the things that probably the business needed the most of, and it wasn't getting. And so I felt like I was in this constant, this perpetual failure loop because you're trying to get them done. You don't enjoy them. You know you're not good at them. I never had the expectation that I could get good at them, or I was never going to enjoy them, so I didn't want to get good at them.
Sure.
You know, I didn't completely neglect them and I didn't completely not do them, but it was always, I didn't want to do it, and that becomes this nagging stress, and you feel like, you know, there's this underlying level of failing all the time in that area. So, you know, that's a very difficult one to achieve if you do own the business, but I guess that's what people talk about when they say, what does your business need to operate really smoothly where you as the owner don't have to be doing and touching everything, right?
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, if you use EOS or one of the programs, it's the idea of right people in the right seats, or what are the right seats for the business, and let's get the right people in them. And then you start to pick people to have that skill set that you might not have yourself, which frees up your time to go into the areas where you do feel like you're strongest in, and then, as I said before, you probably do enjoy those the most.
Yeah. And then, Ben, did you guys sell the cut?
Not really. I get asked that question a lot. Like
Yeah.
it's the old thing. Like if you don't have 3 years of solid, consistent profit, then anyone will tell you that your business is valued at either zero or very, very little.
Sure.
Certainly not something that equates. So Scott and I decided to sort of divide everything up: clients, team members, financials. So look, it wasn't without its financial elements, of course. I didn't lose by closing the business.
Yeah.
But for me at that time, it was really like an intersection thing where I just wanted to get out like Teflon. Like I just wanted to get out really smoothly, have no one get hurt. And I wasn't even really in the mindset of selling it. But look, we'd gone through those conversations actually with New Homes Guide before, where when you have it assessed to try and put a value on it, you've got to have a pretty long tail of very consistent, uninterrupted profit. And I don't think many agencies the size that the cut were have that for as long as 3 years, because you're always, not always, of course there are exceptions, and there are agencies out there that just keep on going up and up, but you're generally riding the up and the down, right? It's a roller coaster until you get to that sort of tipping point. But even then, I think that's pretty rare. So
And how big was the team?
At the biggest, it was sort of 14, 15 people.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That was at the biggest. So after COVID, when Scott and I niched into Shopify fully, it was sort of 8, 10 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you've built a business, gone back to working for someone.
Yeah.
What's
Thank
been
God.
Don't give me ideas.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful, as I said to Phil and Natasha, the owners of DAP, very recently, because I just clocked a year at DAP. Like
congrats.
when you're exiting, I was lying awake at 2 a.m. thinking, I'm unemployable. No one's ever going to employ me. I can't be an employee. Everyone's going to look at me and go, we've been running your own business. You're no good to me. So, you go through those things. But, it didn't prove to be the case, of course. It was 2 a.m., the 2 a.m. frighteners. And,
2 a.m.
they're not real, so luckily.
And what's been the biggest mindset shift you've had to make during that change?
From the cut into DAPS?
Yeah.
It's an interesting question. I guess I'm still reflecting on some of that. I honestly feel like, and I say this to a lot of people, and if people I'm friends with or who I catch up with and have done over the last year, I say this story a lot. Like I never considered myself to be an entrepreneurial business owner, and people will typically then say, yeah, but you started more than one business and you ran it for 15 years. And I say, you're right. But what I mean by that is when I look at people who I would classify as, A-class entrepreneurs, I don't see myself in those people, both in the personality type, very much I think that the real skill set. I think the people that can really drive a business and make it successful probably quickly, or at least more quickly than most, have a really solid numerical or accounting or numbers-based skill set or strength, and they're very process-driven and strategic and able to set a path and run down it. I'm pretty good with process, but I'm definitely not great on the numbers. So I never considered myself that, which, coming back to your question, I feel like I'm a better team member / team leader than I am a business owner.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel actually more happy and comfortable in the role without really needing to dramatically switch my mindset, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty, I think I'm pretty emotionally astute, so I can navigate the negotiations and the diplomacy of what it means in most situations, whether I'm the business owner or I'm in a position within the business. And of course, the ultimate call is not down to me. So, then you just need to be in a position where you put your ego to one side. But I don't necessarily think that's something I've had to learn to do recently. In most cases, some people might laugh at this, but I think in most cases I'm able to bumped the ego to one side, maybe
Yeah.
more recently in the last 10 years as I've gotten more mature than when I was a young bloke. But, you know,
This happens to all of us.
I'm not particularly confrontational. So I can definitely have strong opinions and make a strong argument. And I think I know how to convince people of things, whether it's clients or partners or colleagues, to a point. But then I'm non-confrontational. I don't like it if it's going to flare up into some big argument. I'd rather then step back and go, okay, let's try it your way, or how about this as a compromise point? So I think that's part of the way I operate. So I don't think that's necessarily been a massive shift in my mindset as going from owner to employee, but I guess it's helped smooth that transition. Yeah.
And I think also the fact that you've had your own business, it would be an asset to whoever you work for, because you know exactly about the 2 a.m. scaries or whatever what did you call them? 2 a.m.?
The 2 a.m. scaries or frighteners. I'm not sure what I said now.
I love that because I have
I
those
made
sometimes.
that up. Yeah,
I love it. It's branded now.
Every business owner does.
Completely.
Right?
Like 2 or 3 a.m. I'm like,
Yeah,
what the heck? I'm trying to sleep. And like the most bizarre stuff.
That's when the human spirit and energy is at its lowest ebb. So that's when when the negatives the negatives come into it. Yeah, that's why if they're going to attack at night, they attack around 2 a.m. when everyone in the camp's at their lowest ebb and less able to defend themselves. Yeah.
Well, you heard it here. 2 a.m. scaries. It's a real thing, and I think some people experience it every single night. Sometimes.
Oh, totally.
It's pretty full on.
I've been through that, like where I would wake at 2 or 3 a.m. for an hour or two, like every night for sure, because you're carrying a massive, massive load and. It depends on the person how long you can sustain that for. I would suggest that no one can sustain it like for the long term because you pay a price for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that boils down to someone's passion that they have for what they're doing, or do you think it's just that stress load that's constantly in the back of your mind that kind of wakes people up?
Oh, in the night?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think
is it the care factor or?
Well, both. I think you have to be committed to your people and what you're doing in the business to do it and keep doing it in the first place. But I think it's the stress that wakes you in the middle of the night. Yeah. Yeah. And usually that'll be financial or maybe people related. If you've got an issue with a team member or something, that's conflict based there or whatever. But usually it's financial, right? Like.
Yeah.
Someone's not paying or a thing didn't land and the cash flow's not looking too good over the next month or week or whatever it might be.
Yes.
It's usually, for me, it was usually that.
I find I'm thinking about client work. How bizarre.
Yep. That can be another thing, a big pitch or a piece of work you're trying to crack or you're not sure how the presentation's going to go down for sure. If you're talking about being on the tools more than owning the business. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Ben, what's one hard truth about leadership and business you wish more people had the guts to say out loud?
That's a really good question. I think you need to be able to put your ego to one side and listen to the people around you that you're in business with, whether it's your business partner or a key client or a senior team member, and really take on board what they're saying rather than continually driving in the direction that you feel is the right one, if that makes sense.
Total sense, because I've been there.
Yeah, I think the idea of if you've got a team of people and you're introducing managers and you need to be able to give it comes down, I think, if you follow that logical progression of determining what seat you need in your business, finding the right person, having it confirmed that they're the right person, then you need to put your trust in that person and give them autonomy to do and deliver what you've asked them to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's very hard for leaders who even are aware of it and want to do it. And there are a lot of people in leadership and ownership positions who just simply don't really want to do it. They want to maintain their element of control. And that kind of sabotages both sides of the equation, right? Because if you don't give them ownership, you can't hold them accountable.
No.
And so the whole system's broken there and fragmented in that place where if you want to, like I say, hand it over and let them do what you've employed them to do, then, it's a tricky thing to do.
Yeah.
I have found it tricky to do myself.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to have a consciousness around that, and a lot of people don't. To even try and sort of make the attempt to step back, and you've got to have that visibility on, like, you need to step away from yourself and see yourself and what you're doing, and that's not that common, I don't think.
No, it's so true. When I got my first graphic designer, they'd send me the proof, and I found I would just dive straight in and start fixing it.
Yeah.
And eventually, after a few times, like, what are you doing? You didn't, employ someone so you can start fixing their mistakes. And I'm also stealing the lesson from them. So I had to really, like you say, literally step back and look what I was doing. And I was like, no, I just have to send it back, give the feedback, and again, try to, get them to come up with ideas. Well, have you thought about doing X, Y, and Z? But it's such a mindset shift that you have to make. Otherwise, you're literally shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, totally. You need to be able to give. They might not be hitting it exactly how you want them to hit it or what's right or been agreed, but you can't then sort of grab it back. You've got to give them the direction and hope or tweak the process so that then you can do some sort of reviewing and move forward in a way that you're confident is going to work. It's not that, of course, you can't comment or give feedback. Of course you can. It should be collaborative. Yeah. But the worst thing you can do is sort of jump in and do it over the top of them or redo or correct all the time,
Yeah.
Because that's really bad for them.
Oh, it is completely.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
Yeah, it's demoralising for them.
Completely. I think one of the nicest things, though, of actually putting that lesson back on them is seeing the transformation that person goes through, and then you're eventually not having to, call up on the different areas. They learn.
If they're the right person.
Yes, when they're the right person, 100%.
Yeah. If they're not, well, that's a different thing. Then you've got the wrong person in the right seat.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Ben, let's talk one of my favourite subjects, brand. Where do you think most people get it wrong?
That's a great question. I love brand. I love communications and messaging and getting it right and finding niches and all that sort of thing. Look, it's easy to look out there and go, there are just so many horribly ugly, flawed logos out there. I mean, when I was young, that was everything to me in advertising agencies and doing brands and campaigns. That was everything. Now, do you have to have a great looking logo to have a successful business? Of course you don't.
I beg to differ.
Yeah. Like a business can succeed with a really bad looking logo, right?
Yeah.
Where do most people get it wrong? I think in simple terms, where most people get it wrong is they don't take the point of view of the customer, the person they're trying to reach. They take an inward view and they do I and we, and they don't step out and go, what's going to be right for my customer? If my customer's a 54-year-old male or a 28-year-old female who's a mother with 2 kids, whatever it is, you've got to be able to go, what is going to be hooky, attractive, relevant to that person? In design and positioning and messaging, a lot of it is we, which it shouldn't be.
Yeah, the focus should be on the ideal clients.
Yeah, it's hard to do, and that's part of the reason why there are brand consultants and agencies, is because when you come in, a bit like a psychologist does, they're giving you an external viewpoint on yourself, or a brand consultant or a designer is giving you an external viewpoint on your business. And if they're doing a good job of it, it should be a really positive and enlightening experience for the business owner, where they're going, oh yeah, right, you're right.
Yeah.
Which doesn't always happen, but that's what the ideal scenario. So I would say that the most common mistake is subjectivity. They take a subjective view, not a customer or client-centric view. And you see it in everything from e-commerce to professional services. It's very, very common.
And how would you define brand?
Oh, well, nowadays it's everything, isn't it? When I was starting out in my career, the brand was the logo and the visual identity that was around it. And now, of course, it's about values and alignment and your why. I dropped a note on LinkedIn the other day that one of my pet hates is, you must discover your why. I'm not a big one for jargon and buzzwords, but sure, like I would call that, yes, it's nice to have what you're really trying to do, but again, most often that should be a customer-centric thing, right? Like the why in your business should be about the solutions or what you're helping your clients achieve.
Yeah.
To me, it really just comes down to positioning, but it's alignment, right? It's like going, okay, who are we? What do we offer? Who are we offering it to? Let's build something that's relevant to them. And then you're talking about if it's from ground zero, what are we going to call this thing? Oh, we're going to call it, well, in our case, we nearly called it Scalpel.
Oh, right.
And then Scott and my wives objected to that.
Yeah.
My wife objected to that because it sounded too sharp and unfriendly. So we
Yeah.
went from Scalpel to the cut. But
yeah.
our thing was like, cut to the chase and no BS and, not sort of creatively indulgent, but really looking at just sharp, effective, pragmatic communications.
Yeah.
That's where that
well.
name came from. But what are we going to call it? What's the name going to be? Okay, what sort of look and feel do we want? Then it's the logo, then it's the brand ID, then it's supporting graphics and photography, and then it's language and messaging. And I would probably say you stop there. If you can get all of those things working, and then you've got someone who can deliver those key messages in lots of different tweaked, engaging, micro pivots on the key messaging. Well, that's your execution, right? That's what you're putting into the market, whether it's a podcast or a LinkedIn post or a blog article or an ad or a TV ad or whatever it might be.
I come across so many business owners. They've got a website, they sort of have a haphazard approach on socials, but they have no brand strategy or messaging or any of that, not even a tagline. There's a key part of your system that's missing. Did you come across the same?
Yeah, so I do a little bit of consulting on the side of DAPS. I'm 4 days a week at DAPS. Phil and Tash were sort of generous enough to sort of give me that flexibility. I had a couple of businesses approach me when I closed the cut and asked me to consult them. So yeah, 100%. And look, I'm okay visually. Like I've done enough creative direction and worked with enough designers to be able to do a decent job. I'm absolutely not saying I'm a brand designer or a graphic designer, but yeah, I can. But my core skill is writing and communication and what the words are and mean and how to say it briefly and hopefully with stickiness, relevance and interest. And so, yeah, I often start with a communication strategy. What's missing? How do you see your business being positioned? How do you want it to be positioned? What are you saying now? Why are you saying that? Let's get rid of free parking and actually find something that's meaningful for a message. Let's make it customer or client centric, and then do a positioning like a tagline or a positioning line, then a positioning statement. And then start to look at key message subjects and why and what you want to say about them and breaking it down, and then starting to look at executions of delivering them. But yeah, quite often it'll involve like a visual overhaul as well, and I'll bring in a designer or a web designer to work on those things, and also look at the structure of, if you want to keep going with the website example, how is this structured? What is the flow down the home page, and how are you setting up your other pages? Trying to think about it to make it useful and intuitive for the customer or the potential customer who's going to visit that website.
Yeah, and not copying and pasting your competitor's website copy, please.
That's not a good idea. Yeah, I wouldn't say. I mean, I saw the Safe Style guys. I don't know if you're aware of that brand, the sunglasses that are.
Yes.
Yeah, they're a huge success story. Tim Lewis is the founder, and he was a tradie, but they just won a big business award for innovation and growth, I think. But he sort of said, we've done it our way, and I think doing it your way and not going, that competitor's doing that, oh, that competitor's doing that, or they're whipping us here, like looking around in the market the whole time and then reacting to what your competitors are doing all the time. It's pointless. Like you're just trying to, they're zigging, you're zagging, but you want to be going in your own straight line in the pathway that you've set. If you're constantly getting distracted by anything and shifting direction, well, how much longer does it take you to go 10 Ks forward if you're putting all these detours in your pathway?
Yeah.
So I would say sure, you should know who your competitors are. In the beginning, you should make sure you're positioning yourself a little differently. But after that, do you. Do your business your way. And
great advice.
Yeah, the Safe Style guys said that. I just saw it yesterday or this morning even. I was like, yeah, that's right. And they do that. Like, very casual, very loose, very surfy, very tradey, very, I don't know, blokey, if that's right or wrong.
It's on brand
but
for them.
Yeah, it's on brand for them. And it's worked extremely well. They've also got the perfect e-commerce product.
Yes, definitely.
It's small and light, and tradesmen break them, so they buy multiples. So it's,
or lose them.
or lose them. So it's the perfect. But certainly their brand and the way they've done that, they have done it their own way from the start, and they've done a lot of it themselves autonomously without suppliers as well. So there's something to be said for that to a certain point, I think.
Yeah, I really love how you frame that, doing your business your way. The way I view brand is it's a pairing of different elements used to create a perception in the mind of your audience, right? But I love that you said do it your way, because so many people, business owners, try be like Bob the Builder down the road, and they just miss a key component, I feel, of their own brand at the same time.
Yeah, it should all come out of you and what you want it to be and how you do it and how you operate. You find the differences in that. You don't go, oh, well, competitor A is doing it that way, let's copy them, or deliberately be very different or react against, because then you're giving oxygen to what they're doing. You're not putting energy and oxygen into your own operation.
100%. Ben, you post a lot on LinkedIn.
No, who told you that, Tracy?
I saw it with my own eyes.
I have a love-hate relationship with the reputation I've built around selfies, and I say this a lot. Like, yes, I became the selfie guy in a way. Look, I do like LinkedIn. Like, I used to do a lot of networking that was physical, and I think, I don't know, because I live in Perth and I've only ever done business really in Perth. Certainly in the age of LinkedIn and socials, that's true. I don't know if LinkedIn works better in Perth because we're a networking town and we're a bit more insular. I don't know. I should ask people in Sydney and Melbourne and LA or whatever, but I suspect there's an element of that. But to me, it's a super, super efficient way to get a lot of people seeing you and your business and your clients and the people you partner with. I also say that as a copywriter or a creative writer, creating and writing posts is easier for me than it is for a lot of other people. Yeah. Of course, I'm not the only one out there who can do decent posts on LinkedIn, but if you're talking to business people, they're often they're overthinking, they're writing it like an essay and it's formal, and I find it quite easy to come up with a kernel of an idea and just write 50 or 100 words about it, and that gives me an advantage. Having said that, if I do a post that has 10 or 15 or 20 photos on it, like I might do for DAPS or in WA or for an event, the doing that post can take 40 or 45 minutes.
Yeah, easily.
20 to 30 is probably average for a lot of the posts I do when I tag a lot of people. But, if you get 1,500 impressions and 15 or 30 comments and 40 likes, well, that's a lot of visibility for not much time. Yeah. Whereas I can easily spend an hour and a half driving to a networking event, or even 3 hours driving there, spending the time there and getting back and not get. So don't get me wrong, I still do the networking in person, and I turn those events into an opportunity to do a post. But yes, I do like LinkedIn.
Well, I'm really glad you shared that, because a number of business owners don't use LinkedIn. I think it's a very powerful platform.
I think it can be, for sure.
Yeah. And I think also you touched on the fact that it's about having that online presence, right? So you become known as a selfie guy, you cop a degree for it, but I mean, it's still, your name is getting out there. But like myself with the podcast and Design Studio Perth, so it really is a way to get that brand exposure and create intrigue in what it is that you're doing.
And I try and make a lot of my posts about other people.
I did notice that. Yes,
so
I did notice that.
I like to sort of give, because by giving I look good anyway, but you're giving a shout out to the people you're with, and you're giving them exposure and making other people aware of what they do and who they are, which is cool. Like, I genuinely enjoy that. I genuinely enjoy connecting people, and I'm always like my radar's always pinging for opportunities to connect people in whatever context it might be, not necessarily supply to client. at all. It just might be, oh, you should talk to that guy, or this guy's going to be interesting, or he has a different approach or the same approach. And yeah, I make a lot of introductions, and
yeah, great.
I enjoy doing that. I enjoy sort of professional matchmaking, if you want to be silly about it. But yeah, it's cool to do that, right? And if that then turns into a partnership, then that's a positive for them and it's a positive for me. So, yeah, it's good.
You show up with a lot of care and emotional intelligence. What experience in your life shaped that?
Well, that's a great question. I'm not sure. Like, I think probably having two creative and flawed parents probably probably fed into that. Maybe having two sisters helped me with that as well. Yeah, I don't know really where that comes from. I guess some of it's genetic and some of it's sort of environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's you'd maybe have to ask a psychologist, but I'm sure part of it comes from, like, I don't want there to be conflict. Like, I want things to be positive, right?
Right. So you're conflict averse?
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, I don't like conflict. Like, I'm not going out looking for fights in any way, shape or form.
Sure.
And I don't feel comfortable when there's conflict.
Got it.
Not that I didn't have a lot of conflict really in my family growing up in any negative way, but I think maybe our mother, got very ill when we were very young and she left. So maybe there's an element of abandonment or, wanting to be loved and liked. And so that manifests itself in me sort of being a people pleaser is, I guess, the term people would use. I don't know really. I guess in some ways I find it easy to, in some ways, in some scenarios, I mean, this isn't completely true, but I find it easier to talk to women. And I don't know but my mum left and my dad brought us up, but I had two sisters. So where does that come from? I don't know. My sister, Sarah, runs a kindness project called 1,000 Hearts, which is, if you want to talk about emotional intelligence and helping people and being empathetic, like she's obviously got that too. And my middle sister, Emma, has certainly got that too in different ways.
So all three of you have it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
I'd say so. I mean, I think maybe it's a bit different for a man to have it like that, but I mean, I don't know. I've got lots of mates. I don't know where I'm going with this, to be honest, Tracy. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I like it, but yeah, in some ways, I would rather talk to a group of women about something than talk about footy or if we're going to be cliched, then talk about footy or motor racing with a bunch of blokes. Like, I wouldn't say I'm particularly blokey bloke, but I mean, I have my mates who go mountain biking, loved on trips away with the boys and all that, and love getting loose and stupid and in a blokey way, but yeah, I don't consider myself to be sort of a jockey alpha male, I guess, like, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The reason I asked that question, because I had a look, obviously, at your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really lovely that you're not shy to let someone else have the spotlight. And I think a lot of business owners on LinkedIn speak about themselves, like, constantly. Whereas you use your social media to showcase yourself, yes, but to bring someone else on board and showcase their light as well, which I think is really nice. And it's not something you often see.
Yeah, I guess for me, we both win from that.
Yeah.
Whereas if all I do is talk about myself and what I'm doing, that gets very boring and one-dimensional for an audience.
And I've seen business owners do that,
What's that subjectivity again, right? It's like not really considering your audience as opposed to considering your client or customer. It's just me, we, I.
Yeah.
That's never going to be a strong long-term strategy.
No.
I don't believe.
No, I agree with you, 100%.
And I wouldn't feel comfortable with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, So, I mean, people might say, well, you do selfies of yourself all the time. And I say, yeah, I do, but I kind of do them
pretty... It's the way you do it, though.
Yeah, I do them pretty tongue-in-cheek. And I'm under no illusions that I'm any sort of supermodel. And it actually I actually had a real, like, obstacle to actually sort of take photos of myself because I don't like really having my photo taken.
Right.
But I could see where things were going with that. And I was like, if you're going to do it in a flexible, in the moment kind of way and you've got your phone, you can't just take a photo of, your room with the mics and no people. It's got to be the people.
Yes.
And the selfie is kind of this fun, easy way to go, well, I'm here in this room with the person, or I'm in this environment. You can do it really quick. But I had to really sort of make a conscious effort to push through that discomfort level that I had about doing that.
Yeah.
Which I did, and I don't really think twice about it now, obviously.
Great.
But like going back, whenever I started leaning into LinkedIn, it was probably 4 years ago. I'd say maybe 5. But I had to push through that. So.
How did you push through that? Because I come across so many business owners, they're adverse to video, they don't want to have a bar of social media. The idea of even coming on the podcast and hearing their voice freaks them out. So how did you push through?
I have the visual freak out of self and the voice freak out of self. Right? If anyone complains about their voice, hearing themselves back on video or tape, I say, listen to this voice, and you've got nothing to worry about.
Mine, I'm like, who says yeah so much?
Yeah, the Tasmanian accent, I've never quite been able to shake that. But so if I go back, I couldn't really tell you when I thought consciously that LinkedIn was going to be a channel. I remember looking at LinkedIn in the years before and seeing this environment that was really just recruiters. And there didn't seem to be any real value. And then there was a shift, and maybe it was just before COVID or just after COVID, when I thought, this seems to be changing. Like, people are using it, and I know him and her, and they're doing this, and the recruitment side seems to be sliding into the background.
Yes.
And then I thought, this is, and I don't know if you know Paul Tonich. He's
in real estate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's a very successful businessman and a bit of a personality in Perth. But I remember him talking about Facebook in the same way that we talk about LinkedIn or use LinkedIn now. So this is going back to, let's say, 2011. It was actually at the launch of New Homes Guide, and he did a talk about how he was using Facebook for business, right? Which seems crazy now, but then it was an early thing. And he's like, why wouldn't I use this? I can spend 5 minutes and I can get all these people seeing my business and I can give shout outs. And he was very much about that approach. And that really stuck with me. And I think I've applied some of those kind of theories into the way I use LinkedIn in terms of, make connections, shout out to people, give them credence, avoid sex, politics, religion and negativity, right? And you sometimes see people going at people on LinkedIn and you're like, dude, that
wasted
is
energy.
A massive mistake. You are going to come off with poop all over your outfit, right? You can't win in that scenario. You want to have a go at someone, go down and do it face to face or ring them up on the phone. But to do it in that, you just don't want to do it. You got to keep it positive, because otherwise, what are you really doing in there? Like, it's only going to look bad on you. So, which isn't to say it's contrived or inauthentic. It's more like, well, let's find the good things to do and talk about and share, and there are plenty of them, right? So I feel like there are anyway.
I agree. Ben, what's one thing you've edited out of your public narrative that might actually help someone if they heard it?
That's edited? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean.
Something that you might have not shared before?
Oh, removed.
Removed, yeah. Sorry, it's my accent.
Removed from my public narrative.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're comfortable to share, you don't have to.
Oh, jeez. I don't know that I could think of something that I've removed. I mean, look, certain things, if you're talking about your professional persona, you're not gonna talk about it because there's no crossover, good or bad.
Yeah,
I think. Have I ever removed anything deliberately from my? I can't think of anything that I have. To be honest,
That's good.
I honestly can't think of anything that I have. If ever, this is a slightly different thing, but I think if anyone asks me what's something that people don't know about you, I really like to give the answer. I did my honours thesis on post-colonial feminist literature.
Right, okay.
Because I know that would spin people out a bit. But, I mean, I have a pretty clear division in some ways between professional and personal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really lean into my daughter or anything like that in LinkedIn. I don't kind of bring that into LinkedIn. I want there to be a separation there.
A clear path, yeah.
I guess that's an answer, right? Like if you want to think
course.
about, you could argue that most of my personal life is not in my professional profile. Like I never post about going mountain biking or boys trips away or the stuff I do in my personal life. I just really don't do it. Like I do a little bit with Parisa, my wife. She's in marketing and, super clever and strategic and motivated. And I give the odd little shout out to her and we have a little bit of chat on LinkedIn. She says, thanks, darling. I say, don't call me darling. This is a professional network. And I guess that's something. I don't. To me, that feels like oversharing, and whether it's you're on your Facebook feed and you've got someone who's having a full meltdown about their, disgusting partner who's had an affair or been using meth, to me that's wrong.
Yeah,
I would never, ever do that in a million years. I don't like reading it. I would never do it, and that's an extreme example of why I guess I have that separation there.
Yeah,
because I think it's got. Not in a bad way, but it's none of their business, and it's got nothing. One's got nothing to do with the other in some ways, right?
Of course.
Which isn't to say when I'm one-on-one with someone and having a lunch or a coffee, I'm not talking about personal stuff.
Yeah.
Of course I do. But like you say, in the profession, what you're broadcasting to people, I guess I kind of leave most 80 to 90% of my actual personal life out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I ask that question because, again, I see so much on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, people just air all their dirty laundry and it just has that tacky feel. I don't like it. I mean, I'll share it if I've done like a marathon or something. But I've seen some go to the extremes. So.
Yeah, and look, there are borderline things, right? Like something like doing a marathon where like that speaks to your commitment, your focus, your motivation, your physical fitness. Like, that is a big achievement. And that sort of physical achievement is... I think that has an alignment with it has a positive reflection on what you might be doing professionally, right?
Yes, that's what I thought.
But then other things just don't really. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm not going to give examples. I can think of them. But I think in some cases there is oversharing where I actually think if I saw that, I wouldn't choose you to work with. I wouldn't choose you to work with you because you've shown me too much of where your weaknesses might be.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a bit like the Facebook venting everything and all the dirty laundry's going
Instagram
in these vitriolic posts. I mean, Facebook, I'm a bit old school, but whatever the channel, it happens.
It does.
So I just think, why do you want to run that risk? Like,
you have to be sensible.
You've got to be a bit sensible, and I think you've got to be a bit tactical about it. Even if you just keep that in the background or as an undercurrent in what you're doing, be a little bit tactical about it. So my baseline thing is lift up other people and keep it all positive.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
Ben, how did becoming a parent change how you show up in your work?
That's a great question. I think having Olivia and being married and coming back to Australia after a few years in the UK and not quite starting again, but sort of definitely starting or restarting for both of us when Parisa was a new mum or about to be a new mum from the get-go there. Definitely motivation. Yeah, definitely shifts the focus on Ben freewheeling, not a care in the world, held off buying a home and getting married for as long as he possibly could, guy. To, well, excuse me, now it's time to sort of man up and step up, and you've got these two, you've got a wife and a daughter who are dependent on you. Yeah, so certainly a motivating factor for sure.
Yeah.
I think that would be the big thing, like helps you focus and push through and get it done, and
And what advice would you have for someone who's feeling like they're off track at the moment? Could be a business owner, could be someone who's employed. Advice?
Go and talk to other business owners.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think everyone, well, as we talked about, when you're in the business, you're probably deep in it, you're probably blinkered, you're probably dealing with 101 things, you haven't got time to do anything good or even look after yourself, let alone think about going out and talking to and hearing from someone else. I think like seeing a psychologist, when you go and talk to other business owners, the point of view shift that it gives you
Yes.
is dramatic. And what it does is it pulls you out and go, oh, wow, I'm not actually the only one in this. And then you can start to get ideas for solutions, or if you've got a problem that needs solving, for instance. But I think talking to your peers is a really, really good one. And I mean, I'm on the board of NWA, which I love doing that. And what we hear most of all from those member gatherings where it's owners and leaders of agencies is and I say it myself, or have said it to many people, it's like professional therapy, like being in those rooms. And we go, oh, they've had that and they dealt with it in that way. And it's an I am not alone thing. And that's really powerful and can really help you, I guess, sort of exhale, feel more comfortable, come out of your bubble, don't feel like you're alone, don't feel like you're the only person on the planet to have ever experienced this scenario, good or bad.
Because it does feel like that, yeah.
Yeah, it does totally feel like that. And you can get very, very insular and head down and blinkers on, and in anything in life, that's not a good way to be, whether it's at home or in the office or with anything, it's not a good way to be. You can benefit from hearing the stories of other people and sharing your own, for sure. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, great advice again, because I find when I'm having those moments, just having a chat with someone kind of just alleviates that stress. And you think, oh my gosh, just feels so much at ease, you know? Yeah.
Well, if you talk about it, and that's why therapy works, you're letting it out, right? That's why journaling's so powerful.
Definitely.
You're getting it out of your head onto a page, you're externalising it, it's coming out. It's like lancing a boil, you're getting rid of the stuff. It's coming out of you.
Yeah.
If all you do is spin it around and around in your head, it very rarely resolves itself just from going around and around in your head.
Yeah. I even find with some of the runs, you just have a chat with someone and you just feel so much better
when
afterwards.
You're running.
When you're running, yes, when I run. But it's quite amusing. I have a friend of mine that I run with, and if one of us is having a moment where we're angry, we actually run faster. So I'm like, that's really good. We're letting it out. We're getting
Totally. That's why martial artists, scream and verbalise when they're punching and those sorts of things, because there's a connection to that and an outlet, and you're venting energy, right, in whichever direction you're giving it. Yeah.
It definitely works.
For sure.
Ben, what's one failure that looked bad at the time, but actually redirected your whole path?
I reckon, even though it was a slow death, New Homes Guide, even though it was really good for a few years, was it a failure? I guess it kind of was a failure in that we didn't pull the pin early enough, and we just kept on pouring energy into it. And ultimately, you've only got so much energy to give. And like I said before, if you're doing that and not this, then this is going to get hurt. So yeah, if I had my time again with that, I would have exited that way earlier. But it can be hard when you're dealing with, in partnerships with one or more other person, and, ultimately in some way you all hope and wish it would keep going.
Yeah.
And so you get together and, let's keep going. And we agree to keep going. But ultimately we were flogging a dead horse in that scenario. I think, running the cut, I don't know that there was a hell of a lot of, big, oh my God, we really stuffed that up. Certainly we did things wrong and made mistakes along the way, and hopefully learnt from some of them and maybe didn't learn from others. I don't know that going into that business and another one of the side hustles, they were mistakes.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, like New Homes Guide initially was really good for us. Like it was amazing. It changed our lives, at least in the short term. Like it really helped give us a step up in those early days. But then after a while, it just became a drain.
Sure.
And another side hustle was kind of just a drain all the time and never had any positive return. So
Right.
I'd say that's kind of why I'm against side hustles. Unless you've got your business, your main business, like under management, and it doesn't need you, And then you go, oh, what am I going to do now? And I've got all this time. But if you're trying to do them both and you're taking them both on and that one really needs love and it's not where it should be, then doing, like I say, that is going to hurt this.
Yeah,
Whereas
sense.
this is your main focus and that is the side hustle. It's going to hurt it. Like
Yeah.
you can't get away when people go, I can do both and rah-rah. Sure, you probably can for a little while, but ultimately you're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
Or you're taking energy out of the cup that should be dedicated cup for that business and you're putting it over there.
Yeah.
On what is going to be probably a larger gamble than the thing you've chosen to be your 80 or 90%, or it should be your 100%, right?
Yeah. True.
So, yeah, that's something I often say to people, like resist the side hustle. And,
yeah,
you know,
I think it's great advice.
When you're young, it's really hard to resist it. And I give that advice on the understanding that when you're young and full of beans and full of energy and you're building everything, you can do everything, it's very hard to say no to those other things. And I think if you own a business, chances are you're going to get offered the opportunity to do other things and do side hustles. Oh, do you want to start this? And
Always.
do you want to do that? I think you've got to make sure if you're going to do it that main thing is just on autopilot, either with people managing it for you and you're just dipping in and out as a director. I never got to that place. Or don't do it.
Yeah. I think being in the branding space is even harder because like you have this idea like, oh, no problem. I'll just get the brand set up and like off we'll go. So, but now I've had to ban myself. I'm like, I wanted a shoe brand and I'm like, just control yourself, just focus. Because you've got all the resources to just create a brand and go. But like you say, you're robbing energy from somewhere else.
Yeah, especially if it's a different thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I think if people, like there are people in e-commerce as an example who they do a successful brand and then they want to build a suite of brands so they can step and repeat. That's kind of different. Like,
yeah, of course.
It's not quite the same. A side hustle to me is something where your company or agency is doing that thing and then this thing is over here and someone you've met through your main game has come to you with another different opportunity which requires a whole different structure and business model and ecosystem and team members. That's really what I mean. If you can step and repeat stuff, well, that's awesome.
Yeah, true.
Like, that's great.
Ben, you're into hot sauce, music, and getting outdoors.
Where did you find this information, Tracy?
I have my connections. I'm part Greek and Italian.
You've done all this. I feel like I've been investigated.
Just lightly. What's something personal you protect fiercely no matter how busy work gets?
Mountain biking.
Yeah. Always make time for it?
Yeah, I try and go every weekend, and I often ride by myself. Which I'm completely happy to do. So I drive up to the hills and that takes, 40 minutes. I live in South Freo, Beaconsfield, South Freo.
Yeah.
So that's a drive up and listen to music, go for a ride for a couple of hours, which is, pretty physical. I'm not a crazy person. I'm 54, so I try and be conservative and intelligent. I don't like being injured. And then I usually ring one of my mum or my dad or one of my sisters when I'm driving home. Look, I don't like to miss those. Sometimes, of course, I do, but I don't like to. So that's
it's like your sacred time.
Yeah, and look, I like to be home in the evenings. I do most of the cooking in our house, and I like to be home in the evenings to cook dinner for Parisa and Olivia, and that's sort of a nice time to be home. I do work in the evenings, but I try not to too much.
Yeah.
And I do work a little bit on the weekends, but I try not to too much. But yeah, I think evening times is when you're cooking and everyone's around,
family
and
time,
hanging out and doing homework, and that's pretty nice time of the day to be in the house and not be coming in at 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
which I do sometimes for sure because I go to a lot of events. But 3 or 4 days of the week, I try and be home for sure.
And your favourite dish to make?
Well, my signature dish is fish tacos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which I spent time in Mexico and Baja. I lived in San Diego for a while, many years ago.
Yeah.
Just sort of travelling lived, but we were there for a few months. So, yeah, I like to make fish tacos. I like to make Southeast Asian food and pastas. And Parisa and Olivia love when I make sort of salad bowls, which have lots of little bits of things in them, like
delicious.
poke bowls. Or, they love... What are the cereal ones called? Acai bowls.
Oh, yes.
Apparently I can't say that word properly. I'm constantly being told by my daughter, you're not saying it right, Dad. Yeah, they both love those little pick and mixy sort of dinners. So, I like doing them for them as well. But I like having people around for dinner. And whatever, lasagnas or, slow roasted beefs. It
Oh,
depends
you're making me so hungry.
Depends what time of year it is too, right, Tracy?
Of course.
Yeah, I like to gear it to the seasons. But yeah, I love cooking and I love eating and going out for dinner. And yeah, it's the good things, right?
Yeah, definitely. Ben, let's flip the script. What's one belief you had 5 years ago that you no longer stand by?
Crikey, these are making me think. Why don't you give them to me in advance?
This is exactly what my aim is.
I know. A belief I had 5 years ago.
It doesn't have to be 5 years. It can be like even last week.
That I no longer feel is true.
It could be about business or...
I don't know. That is so hard. I don't know. I mean, I worry a lot less now that I'm not a business owner.
Yeah.
I suffer from a level of anxiety. So whether you want to call it a belief, but some of the things I worried about were going to happen, I no longer worry that they're going to happen. And sort of, I suppose I feel a bit more sort of stable and secure looking forward into the future than I used to, whereas there's a lot of anxiety about that. And, some of those 3 a.m. things, I'd lie there convinced that we're going to lose our house and stuff. And,
wow.
Belief, but that's something I don't really feel that anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously that sort of stuff comes out of stress because stress is negative and you start to spiral and, I've got an overactive imagination and I think with a bit of anxiety that can take you into some negative places as well as positive. I definitely sleep a fair bit better these days and I think overall just feel, lighter and more positive about what the future holds and what I can lean into than I did, particularly in the last 2 or 3 years of the cut. I don't want to paint the cut in a way that sounds like it was a negative experience. It was absolutely an awesome experience. And I have no regrets about any part of it. And Scott and I were super lucky to have 15 years in business partnership where, we never really had a cross word and we still stay in touch now.
Great.
We weren't, we weren't good mates who then went into business together, and so we're not good mates now in that sense, like we go and have beers and stuff all the time. But we still have a level of closeness and we know a lot about each other's lives and we stay in touch, and I still help him and try and help him and he still tries to help me. Yeah. So I don't want to put this spin on this or have anyone think that, the cut was 15 years a nightmare. No way. No, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was an experience.
Oh, we did so many unbelievably cool things and travelled together all around the world and did this pivot and that side hustle and learnt so much. But yeah, look, the last 2 to 3 years when I was really talking to my wife, I don't know if I want to be doing this in another 5 or 6 years. I'm pretty sure I don't.
Yeah.
During those years, those negative thoughts and anxiety were at their worst, for sure. Yeah. So it's nice to not be in that headspace anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think also you've showcased that a business might not be forever. It could just be for 10 years, 5 years, 15 years. And that's not a bad thing. It's just how it worked out, right? So,
yeah. I have no regrets about closing it. People go, that must have been hard. And I go, you know what? At that time was the easiest thing I've ever done.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, but if someone says, what's the best thing? I would say it's starting the business.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a journey.
Because when I was, I was 36 or 37 or 38 when we started it, that was an awesome thing to do. And it was all sorts of awesome until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then I really had to make that decision, I was looking down the road and thinking, this could be really, really bad for me personally if I feel like this in another 2 and 3 years and by then I might not be employable. So then what's it there? And then between then and now I've got to worry about all of that at the same time. So, I guess I've always, I've never been much of a one for sort of forward planning in terms of my life and career, but it's kind of worked out, and I guess I've watched for opportunities and been able to take them at some times where it has worked out positively. Of course, it hasn't always, but I don't have any regrets about closing the business when I did, and I'm very, very happy we opened it in the first place.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a pretty good start and a pretty happy ending as well.
Definitely.
And a good new beginning as well. So, yeah, like, you know, anything's possible, right? Like in whichever way you want to spin that, anything can be done and is possible. And you probably, you know, if you feel trapped in something, then that might be an inaccurate or an artificial perception. And if you step back and actually, you know, make yourself escape, you probably find that there's going to be something for you on the other side.
Yeah.
Maybe, hopefully, probably, I would say, right?
Yeah. Ben, where is the best place for our listeners to go should they wish to connect with you?
Where do you think, Tracy?
Oh, I'm going to say LinkedIn, but I'm just putting it out there.
That's a pretty good place. You could always come and see me at DAPS at 220 St George's Terrace. But yeah, look, I'm on and off LinkedIn, you know, 3 or 4 times a day for sure. I check in and out of it. I probably am mildly addicted to that channel.
Sure.
And I try not to let that be a negative thing. But yeah, absolutely, DM me or drop me a note or a message in LinkedIn is always a good place to start for sure.
Yeah, Ben, thank you so much for your time today. I've so enjoyed our conversation. You have such a kindness about you that, you know, you don't often see, so don't change that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. It's been really nice. The people I spoke to who have sat in this chair before me spoke very highly, and I was happy to say they were right.
Oh, fabulous. That's great. You make me
You've done an
blush.
awesome
Thank
job.
you.
And I'm really impressed with I don't know where you got some of that information from. I'll ask you once we switch this off again.
My sources.
Your sources. You're a spy. But yeah, thanks for having me, Tracy. It's been really fun.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.